to Strictly Ball Business. Your host, Alec and Dalton here, ready to talk about last couple games we had in the NBA. I don't know if this is technically episode 18 or not. Regardless, we're reacting to 4 games today. The Timberwolves had their home opener against the Houston Rockets on Wednesday. The Orlando Magic, they kind of got shellacked by the San Antonio Spurs. And the Utah Jazz put out a good showing against the Lowry Thunder. And then the Miami Heat had a surprise blowout against the defending champs. So let's start from the top here. Wolves Rockets. I was at this game. It was a ton of fun. I was right behind the hoop, so I hadn't been in that spot before. Kind of tough to see the other side of the court, but still a great seat, and loved being around fans once again. In terms of the game, what really stood out to me was the defense, because I mean, they were causing so many turnovers. I think it was either 26 or 28 total for the game. And there was multiple guys with 2 blocks and 2 steals each. So it was fun to see. Even Malik Beasley had a couple of sweet blocks at the rim, and it was like, damn, I thought he was going to follow him. It's like, who's this guy?
Yeah. No, yeah. I still think they have a lot of ways to come on their interior defense, but their perimeter defense was outstanding. I thought I really liked the choice of having Okogie and Jaden McDaniels in there just for defense. I mean, they didn't get as many touches, and then Vanderbilt came in and he was great. He really looked like that like elite defender that they needed. Like he was, granted it was the Rockets, so still take this all with a grain of salt, and we'll see on a bigger stage, but like that, it seemed like they had the right formula for what they want to do. Like their top 3 guys took the most shots, which was totally fine. But yeah, Malik Beasley, like you saw, I mean, D'Lo was still D'Lo, like his defense was still poor, but you saw like Edwards, Beasley, I mean, even Cat for the most part, like they all just bought into a defense. And Beasley, a guy who's last 2 seasons, we've just seen like if he gets the ball, he's just going to shoot it. He was not concerned. I mean, he only had like 9 points that game, but he just bought in on defense. He locked in and he went. So if that's like what we're going to see from most of the people on this team, I think that's the key. I think Timberwolves could figure it out this season.
Yeah, they played aggressive, and there was this one play where our boy Malik went and got a steal, and he I don't think ended up getting credited to keep the ball because he fell out of bounds, but everybody on the bench, including Cat and D'Lo, were on the bench at the time, was immediately there to pick him up, and you could just see the energy that this is going to be like a fun team this year, and like the chemistry is very solid, and you know they're there for each other, and I think they're going to grow with each other. And the defense is a huge part of that. They all know that they have to get better. They've said it like, you know, all off season. They've said it the off season before. Cat said it, but now if they can actually prove it game in, game out, that's going to be amazing. First game, fantastic defense. It was against the Houston Rockets, so I guess we got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt. Lots of rookies and second-year guys on this team, but regardless, I love to see the energy, and you know we did that without Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed. I was like, Bev's not even in here, and like that's going to help out a lot. Probably see less minutes for Jordan J-Mac, but that's all right. I mean, he was an outstanding. I would say he's not a standout, but one thing I thought, aside from their defense, that I was watching on court when I watched the game, was not when I was there because I wasn't there, but what you saw was like each guy like just stepping up, and like I think, for example, Cat missed a defensive rotation. A guy got an easy bucket. Ant like stepped in. He's like, hey. And he like, you saw him and Cat, like he was like talking through the play, like while they were like putting it in. Like they were all holding each other accountable for like defense or offense. Like, hey, you missed this. Like they were like physically, like actually like talking on the court. And I think that's huge. Like that shit never would have happened with like Wiggins and Cat and that team.
Yeah. There was this one point, even D'Lo and Nas were talking together to the side, kind of away from the bench, that I had noticed, and I'm sure the camera didn't catch it, but it was interesting seeing them chat it up. They were talking for a good few minutes, and it seemed like about something in the game they kept pointing out to the court. So you can only assume about defensive matchups. I think these guys, they're continuing to get better. I mean, it's really fun to see. Like there's a lot. It's a really young team, but I think this is the big year where we can take that next step.
Oh yeah, and Cat's leadership. So I've seen a lot of it. I haven't really talked about it on the show. I mean, I follow their Instagram and basically every faucet except for Twitter of the Timberwolves. But one thing you really see is all in all these videos is, especially that translated from last night, is Cat is really stepping in to be that leader. Like you saw him, he's leading all these huddles. He's talking to everyone, like making sure everyone's involved. And during practices, he'd lead them all in. He'd give them this talk. And I mean, there's more than just talking, but he was by far the most consistent shooter. I mean, he wasn't the player of the game, but he throughout the whole night, like, I mean, Anthony Edwards got hot, D'Lo got hot, but then they both got cold during the game. But throughout the whole game, the most consistent factor was Cat.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be his role. Like, he's not going to put up the most shots every game.
Yeah.
He's just going to be that leader, and I think he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I saw, that's what I was most proud of. I mean, that was awesome.
And he played fantastic with the shots he did take. He was 11 of 15, perfect from the line, and he was 3 or 4 from beyond the arc. Like, that's what you need. I mean, 30 points, 10 rebounds, like, awesome game for Cat, and giving us great defense on top of that. And, you know, not only leading as being a vocal leader, but leading through his play. So that's fun to see.
And one thing that isn't going to show up in the box score is how much he like actually started to play. I mean, he only had 2 assists, but we talked about this with Josh Giddey. That, I mean, just because you're low on assists doesn't mean you're doing like bad playmaking. It's just just the play they were running, and he was able to start these plays and run the offense. Not completely running the offense, but he was able to facilitate everything. And so I think as it goes on, we will see more assists in there. But he
could read the offense well. If he saw like they switch Eric Gordon onto him, he's like, I'm fucking taking that. Actually, one point, Kevin Porter Jr. went onto him, and immediately he was like, okay, I'm driving it to the rim. He just dunked the shit out of it on him. And it was like, man, even in a half court situation, Kevin, like, Cat is going to beat you. Like, this is the guy who won the skills contest a couple of years ago. This is a guy who's one of the craftiest big men in the league. Sorry, Kevin.
Best big man shooter of all time.
Exactly. So,
but on the Rockets side, I'd like to just notice. So, I mean, if you look at the box score, not a great game for Jalen Green, but I think that's not what you want to pull out of his first NBA game.
He had some highlights. He looked that confident. One behind the back. Yep.
Yeah, that seems like his signature move. He did that exact same thing to Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, he was fast as shit coming out of it. It's like, you know, he just executes right there. He knows like he's gonna take off the head at that point.
Yeah, but I think it was the confidence in the way him and Kevin Porter Jr. like they just didn't go into that game, and I think as a Rockets fan, that was really nice to see that development. And obviously Christian Wood was good. He's going to be great for you every night. He's already he's already a win now player, but he's just going to be their center power forward of the future. One thing I thought was really cool. So Eric Gordon, to most people seeing him put up 15 that game efficiently was not much to see. But I think, especially when we talk about the Magic, what I will bring up is that he's a great veteran to have. And like seeing that he's able to produce, that means so much more for all these young players. Like he's able to get in there, he's able to affect the game during the game and show them like what they need to do. Like he's going to be a great veteran for them this year. And I hope to see more from like Jay Sean Tate and Kenyon Martin Jr. I mean, they didn't do much in that game, but
I mean, a lot of guys on this team struggled on Wednesday just in terms of holding the ball, so they weren't able to get anything going. When you have as many turnovers as they did, you can't expect to be able to stay in a game. And I get that they're young, but that's going to be a focal point for them to try and cut down on that, to even get to half that amount, and maybe like, shave off a third of it would be great. And then they'll get more opportunities. They'll get more shots up, and guys will get more open shots as well. Jalen Green was clearly trying to, force his way into the game a bit, and it just didn't work out. Okogie put the clamps on him multiple times, and Jaden McDaniels did as well. So it was a great game for the Timberwolves. I think the Rockets, not so much. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of great takeaways from them, in my opinion. Like, I think a couple of good highlights from the dudes, but I think I need to see more out of Kevin Porter Jr. night in and night out than that. And then I also think like their bench is going to have to give you a ton more. Like Eric Gordon was really good in that game, but I'm not expecting that to happen a ton.
Right. I think just the biggest takeaways for the Rockets were, I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., like scoring was great, facilitating. If he wants to be that point guard, he can't be 9 turnovers that game. 9, like, and only like 4 assists. So that's not the
9.
ratio you need. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love to
That's
see
not
him.
gonna be every night, hopefully.
No, but he wants to be that facilitator, and I think
Yeah.
it's good for him to have such a bad night where he's like, all right, I gotta clean that up a bit. And to your point, where Jalen Green, like, I think that's fine. I think the Rockets, they should be like, hey, go out there, take every shot you can. You're clearly are
Oh
going to
yeah.
be our best player in 5 years. Take every shot, miss him or don't. Like, just like Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, no,
Last
he's gonna
season.
have some rough games.
Yeah.
You know, he's a rookie. It's just how it goes.
It's
So
totally fine. Yeah, I'd rather get him in the rhythm of taking all those shots than having
yeah.
no shots when, you know.
Yeah.
So
This is part of the learning process. He's gonna learn what he can and can't get away with, and he's gonna take it with him in stride.
right.
But let's move on to the next game here. We had Magic, your Orlando Magic, and the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs win big time in this one. And many players played really well on their side, but no one really stood out as a like star player other than like Devon Vasel was really efficient and shot 8 of 10. And they probably would have got more points if they had played him more in crunch time, but there was no need to because it was such a big win here.
Yeah, I mean, they started off looking good. I liked it. Cole Anthony was doing well. But all right, so I'll start off with the good parts. Like, I was really surprised with the lineup they had. I mean, they had Franz Wagner. They weren't really big with Bamba as your center and Wendell Carter as your power forward. I like that. I mean, I think they effectively had 2 centers on the floor. Just Bamba guarded their center because he is more of a shot blocking threat. I think it actually worked really well. Like, I really liked that fit. Obviously Bamba did well. He shot well. That's what they want to see. 4 blocks, guy. If we see more Bamba like this, I think that's going to get him a roster spot, at least while Jonathan Isaac's out. Wendell Carter was solid, only played 18 minutes. So that's why his numbers don't look as great, but 13 points in 18 minutes, 8 rebounds. I think you can't argue with that. I think that was pretty nice. It hurt me a little bit to see Suggs because on the difference like between Jalen. So Jalen didn't take the worst shots. Jalen Green didn't take these terrible shots. He just didn't make them.
Yeah.
Suggs, however, he took some pretty questionable shots. I'm like, all right, man. That's the same with Cole Anthony.
Yeah,
like,
some pretty
guys.
deep threes.
Yeah, you could definitely see. I mean, their best veteran is Terrence Ross. He's really their only veteran. Gary Harris wasn't there, and Gary Harris is still pretty young himself.
Yeah, he's only probably like 3 years older than like Wendell Carter.
Yeah, but neither one's been in a winning culture, I mean, like maybe subpar at best. When Gary Harris was on the Nuggets, they weren't a contender.
I guess was when Ross was on the Raptors. Were they not contending yet?
No, they were contention. I guess that was they were a good team. But it wasn't until they got Serge that they started making that rise to contention. Serge was the first step, and then they got Kawhi, and then they got Marc Gasol.
Yeah, but, point being, you think you need some more guys who have almost gotten a championship or have gotten a championship. Get some of that. To
build a winning culture. I mean, he's a good vet for like, hey, this is the league or whatever, but I think we need more vets, honestly.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like, I mean, Lopez is a decent vet. He's been around. He's a journeyman. However,
yeah, that's true. You have Robin. He's done a lot.
He's a good vet. However, you could just see like no discipline when they're playing, and it hurt to watch. I was like, they were just so.
Robin's
turnovers.
The party Lopez. That's why you should. Yeah. If you get Brooke, you'll get the business one, and things will be better.
That's right. But I don't know. It just hurt. I just want to see. We'll see how they do tonight. I really did. Bamba was the highlight for me. I was surprised to see that from him. So it wasn't a complete loss. Wendell Carter looked great. I just want to see more out of their guards.
No, I think getting a big game out of Mo Bamba should be very exciting. I mean, that excites me.
But it's funny enough, I didn't expect to see it this soon, but you did really see the difference between with Jonathan Isaac and Markel Fultz there. I mean, being as it may, they don't jump out of the box score when they do play, but they are solid NBA players. When you watch them, you're like, they are the role. Not much mistakes come out of it. Like they're very smart NBA players, and you really saw the difference. Like those guys, those are both starting guards for this team. I mean, guard and forward, and you saw the difference in them not being there. So
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to get back.
Yeah. Yeah. Once they're back, I think that'll add a whole new wrinkle to this team again, that they desperately miss. I mean, Markel Fultz is a great driver for the point guard position. You don't really have that in Suggs right now because, he's got to figure out how to get past an NBA defense. And then Jonathan Isaac, he's going to add just so much to your team defensively.
That adds to the pace because of how good defensive he is. They're not coming off a score. They're coming off, they say great defense makes great offense. And that affects every bit of it. And without him,
puts them in good positions, he's kind of their team captain in a lot of ways too. I mean, not a lot of veterans on this team. He really should be.
He affects the game the most out of any other player on the Magic roster, I think. Just affects it defensively so much and doesn't enough offensively, where he's definitely the biggest impact player. But
sure.
Moving on to Spurs, I think they played. It was the opposite end where I watched the Magic and I was hoping. I didn't want them to win. I didn't care. I don't care if they win. I just want to see development. And the Spurs are in the same place. I'm sure everyone knows they're not going to be a playoff team this season, but you just want to see player development. That's what you want to see. And you really saw it in just about everyone. I mean, it was Spurs passing. Nobody stood out because that's Greg Popovich's system. Move this. Whoever's open and can take the shot will take the shot. Not just they don't play through any star or anything. But Derek White looked good. Keldon Johnson looked really, really nice. I mean, their vets, Doug McDermott, looked fine. They didn't play Thaddeus Young. He was just
not
DNP.
A great game from Collins.
No, not the best game from Collins either. No, but I mean, Primo played for like 4 minutes, but even then, just seeing
he didn't get into the end. Yeah,
but like even him just getting into that offense, it looked good. Bryn Forbes was Bryn Forbes, but Lonnie Walker did what he was supposed to. I said at the beginning, he's just going to come in and yeet threes, and as long as he makes them, he's effective on this team, and that's what he did. Devon Vasel was a big surprise. Yeah, seeing him hit those threes. He played well defensively too. And that's what he was drafted for, was defense. Nice to see Murray. I mean, Murray didn't shoot well, but he really, when you watched it, he was the one facilitating the offense. Like, just like the Magic didn't have anyone. I mean, Suggs and Cole Anthony tried their best, but they're also really young. So watching him run this team, Murray was hands down, obviously the leader on the floor, and you could really see it. And I think that was something for Spurs fans to be really proud of, because that's awesome that he's able to do that. Can't wait to see more.
Yeah, no, this is a decent Spurs team. I think they do have potential to make the playoffs just because of the great coaching. They got a lot of solid players. They don't have any stars, but they got guys who could maybe emerge into pre-stardom. So I think this is a team to watch, no doubt. But another exciting young team in the NBA is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've got SGA, who we just talked about the other day, and Josh Giddey and Lou Dort, and they got crushed by the Utah Jazz. And, makes sense. The Utah Jazz were the 1 seed last year. Donovan Mitchell had a big game, didn't he?
Yep. Well, he did all right. It was more, I think Gobert was the player of the game there. Bogdanovich did what Bogdanovich does. Actually, Mitchell was very hands-off for this game. A lot of it, it looked like they were referring to Conley more, as Conley has struggled to get into the system, and he really came into it the second half of last season as he was injured the first half. So he was letting Conley be like, all right, run the show, get comfortable with this system. Obviously, I think they knew like what this OKC team was, but it really showed how young the OKC was. Gobert, they really can't OKC can't deal with size. Gobert got whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. And I mean, it's 21 rebounds, 16 defensive rebound, 5 offensive. Guy was 66%. I mean, he got whatever he wanted down there. They're starting, who was there? They started Favors, right? Yeah, they started Favors. It was just rough to see on the OKC side, kind of the same part. But you did see that. Yeah, he is. He's been.
There's a reason he's on the Thunder.
Yeah. Yeah. But Lou Dort, I mean, he did the best with his defense. Like they just got bullied. The
Yeah.
Jazz are a very physical team. They get in there, and the OKC wasn't ready for it. Shea what he didn't shoot well from three, and that's what really, if you look at the box score, would affect his field goal. But when you watch the game, he was creative inside. He did what he could. He just missed open shots, and that's going to happen. Bazley looked really nice. His handle looked crisp. He was able to get up and get into the defense.
That's big for him. Yeah, I mean, he was fumbling all over the place last year and not being able to get to the paint, and even after getting rebounds, sometimes coughing it up.
Yeah, and that was really the takeaway, was that the 3-point shooting did not look good at all. Josh Giddey did well rebounding. I mean, his passing is very unnoticeable from most people who just check box scores because he only gets 3 assists. But like we just talked about, he affects the offense way more than you thought he did.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see him be more aggressive. But he just didn't get there. I mean, this is a really good defense, so this is hard to gauge it for a rookie to play for his first NBA game. It's hard to get your offense going against the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz have one of the best defenses in the league. It's gonna be tough to get something going against them. It's probably a big welcome to the NBA moment for our boy Josh.
Yeah, but definitely some bright points. Roby fit into. He looked nice. He didn't wow anyone, but he was doing what he was supposed to. He was in the right rotations. He was a plus for the game, +3. So that really does help out some. So that was good to see. So definitely some bright points for OKC, and the Jazz we'll see on a bigger stage, but they definitely look like they're just jumping back into what they started last season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the Jazz do against better opponents. This is an Oklahoma City team that has no problem losing games. So let's move on to the Milwaukee Bucks, defending champions, and the Miami Heat, rematch from a series last year, but this time it was a blowout in the other direction as the Heat routed our neighborhood Bikes. I say Bikes, I meant Bucks, obviously. But our boys over there, they didn't have Holiday, so obviously it was going to be tough.
They didn't have Holiday. Yeah, so the notable injuries were DiVincenzo's still out. No Holiday. He left halfway through last game. Brook Lopez didn't play. He had a hamstring issue. It's not serious. And same thing with Bobby Portis. He also didn't play. So two other scoring options.
No Brook and no Holiday is huge. I mean, Bam Adebayo is a top 5 center in this league. Like, that's a tough night not to have Brook Lopez. And then Drew Holiday is the best defensive point guard in the NBA. So tough not have him, period.
Yeah.
But on the Miami Heat side, let's talk about some positives here on what we saw from them. Tyler Hero, is he back? You know, we can just pretend like last year didn't happen. He's back, baby.
Yeah, it's man, it was rough watching what happened with the Bucks, but huge plus for the Heat. These guys looked so tough. Like, I mean, not just like tough, like watching it, I was like, that does not look
Kyle Lowry
basketball,
difference, man.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry different. Everyone, PJ Tucker difference. That was one I noticed, is he affected that defense. I mean, it was already a good defense, but nothing was easy. Not a single shot.
Perimeter's locked up now.
Yeah, it was. And even when we were finally able to squeeze in inside, it was the help defense between Tucker and even Jimmy Butler. They were able to collapse easy, and with Bam in the middle, they will be the best defense this season after watching this one game. I think confident.
That's probably correct. That makes sense to me.
Just the Bucks team.
The Bucks would have probably been my vote for the best defense before, but we'll have to see. Hopefully we get a full season out of guys like Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez, but Brook is getting older. But they've got some old guys in Miami too. But regardless, I could see them being the best defense in the league because they got a lot of dogs over there. I mean, just even also adding a guy like Markieff Morris, adding a guy like that helps you out a little bit. Obviously, Kyle Lowry was the biggest addition of the offseason. PJ Tucker, from a defensive standpoint, is crazy. You gave an extension to Duncan Robinson. So, you got other guys worrying about offense, and you're like, hey, Duncan's our 3-point guy. We don't need to worry about learning how to shoot a three. We just pass it to him. He'll do it for us.
Yeah. And he didn't shoot the best this game, but that'll come. It's just he was 2 for 8.
But
that'll happen.
Tyler Hero shot well, and that's a guy who, having a bounce back year, if he can do it, is going to add a ton to this team. I mean, that's a huge X factor for them, a potential 6 man of the year player with his scoring potential and, shot efficient from the 3. If he can continue to do that, that's exactly what they need. They need more guys that can shoot.
Yeah, they have a bunch of guys that can create, and it'll be help. All shooters are always helpful, especially around Jimmy Butler. He's not the best 3-point shooter. He can get it done, but it's nice having that out there. And PJ hit threes. They let him get open. Like usually, like in the final series, they just the Suns just left PJ. They didn't give a shit about him. They're like, shoot it. We don't give a shit. You're the one on the court we want to shoot. Yeah. And he came out looking confident. A lot of his defense really got him going, and everyone else going for the matter. So they looked awesome. The Heat, they're gonna look like a top 4 or 5 seed, and like without a doubt. We'll see. They could squeeze in top 3. I wouldn't be surprised.
Top 3, I think, is going to happen for sure. I mean, because I think the Sixers are going to drop out of the top 3. I think the Nets have variability. They're the best, one of the best teams in the East, but there's variability there. There could be an injury that sets them out. Who knows?
Without Kyrie.
Yeah, and no Kyrie. The Bucks I think are a guarantee for top 3, but obviously there's 2 other spots there. So I think the Heat are guaranteed, and then that 3rd spot we'll see. Maybe the Nets, maybe the Sixers, maybe the Celtics.
Celtics would be is my dark horse if they were to get up there. They looked good, even though they lost their last game. They looked really good.
They looked good. Jaylen Brown was fantastic, and like all they needed was just a bad game from Tatum, but instead he was atrocious.
Yeah,
he shot 7 of 30. If he had given them anything else, they would have won. And Dennis Schroeder didn't play well either. But yeah, that's a fun team over there. And I think there's like one other team in the East that I like.
Knicks?
No. Oh, the Hawks.
The Hawks.
Yeah,
Hawks
not the Knicks. Yeah, I think the Hawks could get a top 3 seed this year. Obviously, there's probably going to be a step back for Trae Young's production just because he, with the foul change, that I think that's going to affect him. Mm-hmm. But he's still a top 5 facilitator in this league. He's still a great scorer, period. So they got a great team there outside of him too, with Herder and Cam Reddish and John Collins, Clint Gallinari, Gallinari, tons of guys. So that's a great spot as well.
Yeah, some overall good games. Can't wait to see more tonight.
Yeah, so we got a lot of games tonight. Which one are you tuned into?
I'm watching Knicks and Magic. See what else I can. I gotta watch that one at the very least. I want to catch a Cavs and Warriors game, so maybe I'll flip. I mean, a Cavs and Hornets game. Maybe I'll flip back and forth between that.
Yeah, I mean, after LaMelo's game the other day, and then the neon green suit he wore after, I'm curious what sort of flash is going to show today.
Mobley had a great game too, a surprisingly good game.
Mobley.
Too.
Yeah, he started and he played 39 minutes.
He shot well from 3 too.
Yeah, and he played good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about that. That is a guy. And I bought League Pass, so I'm in. I can watch any game I want. So here we go. And NBA is back, baby.
It's back, baby. That's right.
Back. All right, guys. This was episode 17-ish, 18, whatever we will call it. We'll figure out after the fact. Regardless, 4 games we broke down, and we'll break down some more in the future. We love you as always, and we'll see you next time.